Alright guys, welcome to another video here at Project 9 Oaks. We're going to be working on dressing up the corner here of my backyard. I've got these fence posts and just kind of wire fencing here in the backyard, kind of separates the yard from the orchard. And we have this wisteria plant in the corner here, and as you can see, it kind of hits me in the head a lot. It's kind of outgrown the area, and so we're going to be making an arbor that this can grow on. But instead of making something easy like a nice square arbor or buying one from the store, I've decided to let's see if we can bend an arch out of wood that will support this and kind of make it look a little fancier, I guess. So today we're going to be working on replacing these posts, and then we're going to be building a frame that we're going to bend the wood around, and then actually bending the wood, steam bending them, everything like that. So appreciate you sticking around for this video. Hope it helps you out in your project, and let's get started. So the anchor for the arbor is going to be these 4x4 posts, but not actually these, because as you can see, these are pretty much done. I think they're broken off somewhere in the ground, and they're attached to the fencing here with staples. And I want to turn these posts so they're not in line with the fence; they're more in line with each other. And I'll show you that more later. And I'm going to cut them off here at the fence height, about 4 feet, and get the arch to start right where the fence is. So let's get this taken apart. We're going to get the fence off of this, dig a hole, put new posts in, and concrete it in the ground. All right, y'all, I saved you some of the boring parts of digging out the posts, but I wanted to show you this. This I thought was interesting. So here's the two 4x4 posts, and I think this is about 3 feet in the ground, and you can tell how nice and intact the bottom is, and the top as well. But the part that touched the ground, it's like right below the surface is where all the decay is. I don't know if you can tell. There's a bunch of, it looks like termites. I'm guessing that's termites, probably, in the wood, you know, even though it's pressure treated. So I thought that was kind of interesting. This whole fence I didn't put any concrete in the ground for it. We did this about 10 years ago, and we weren't really sure the orientation of the fence, but it's, you know, of course it stayed here for that long. But I think for the new posts, I'm going to put in and concrete the top, you know, maybe 1.5 feet or so. And I think, I'm not sure, let me know if you know the reasoning for the decay here at the surface. I'm thinking it's because of the oxygen is still in the soil here, and it can still decay, and bacteria, and it looks like termites can get in it. But when it's down deep, it's kind of that, you know, oxygen deprived environment, and so it doesn't, you know, that corrosion, that decay doesn't happen as fast. But let me know what you think. I just thought this little science experiment was kind of interesting. Okay, we're back in the barn. We've taken those measurements from the backyard, that 11 foot 1 inch that to the inside of the post, 11 foot 8 inches to the outside is our measurement for the bottom. And then we have to figure out some measurements now for the arch itself and what that's going to look like. We have to take all these measurements because we have to build a frame first that we're going to be bending the wood around. And that frame's going to be pretty big. You know, it's 11 foot 8 inches. Let's say a 12 foot base for this frame. And then it's going to have other pieces coming off of it to make this arch. We'll go over that in a minute. But it's quite a large frame that I'm going to have to stick somewhere. So I'm going to build it on the floor here in the barn. It's a nice flat concrete floor. I have an idea, again, of what I'm going to be doing. I haven't done it before, so in this kind of large scale. So let's see how this comes together. I'm going to take you to my notepad, show you what kind of measurements I'm coming up with, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, I'm not sure how well you can see this, my scratches here on this paper, but basically, this is the fence post up here, and this is the arch. We have 11 foot 1 inch You know, the inside diameter 11 foot 8 inches on the outside. And then we have this arch here. And, you know, if we just did, you know, made it a circle, so like half of a circle, then that 11 foot 1 inch is the diameter. And then we would have, you know, half of that going up. So let's say 5 foot 5 inches, or 5 foot 6 inches. It's 5.5 feet. But that makes for a pretty tall archway. We have 4 foot here, and then another 5.5. That's a 9.5 foot tall arch. That's pretty tall, even though I kind of want to have room for the wisteria to hang down and not get in my face. I think it's a little tall. Also, going back to some high school geometry, if we do the circumference of that circle, which is 11 foot diameter times pi, I think that was 30 something, I can't remember exactly, but when you divide that by 4, because, you know, that's the whole circumference, and then this edge is a fourth of that circle circumference divided by 4, that was like 8.5 feet. So that's a little too long, because what I'm planning on doing is I want an 8-foot board to start here and to go all the way to the center, and then that way I can make my frame to kind of clamp onto that, and it just makes for a nice, you know, ending for that board. So what I'm trying to do is squish this down a little bit lower. So instead of 5.5, I'm coming up with like 4 foot 9 inches, just kind of somewhat guessing, and that way that kind of squishes the circle, you know, a little bit. I can't really use that same pi times d formula anymore, but I'm thinking that 4 foot 9 inches will be enough for an 8-foot board to make that curve and be able to clamp at the top and at the end. So I'm going to go with that 4 foot 9. That makes for an 8 foot 9 inch tall arch. So I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to convert that over here into this frame. I'm going to have a 2x6 along the bottom, and then I'm going to have 2x6s coming up at various dimensions with like PVC poles sticking out vertically that I'm going to clamp these boards to. So it's kind of hard to see on this paper, but let's start building this kind of stronger frame here with these 2x6s, and we'll go from there. So let's get out onto the floor here, and I'll show you what I got going on. Okay, I've got the frame kind of laid out roughly. I have a 12-foot piece here on the bottom, this 2x6, and I just joined it. It's actually an 8-foot and a 4-foot, and I have like a 2x4 connecting it. I have another 5-foot board here sitting on the center. So this is going to be the center of my frame, and then I'm going to attach this with this just 2x4 to screw it into there and screw it into here. So, you know, we're going to bend the wood around kind of this way, and it's going to be on top of the frame a little bit. I don't think it's enough torque where it's going to want to lift the frame up, like it's going to want to torque the frame this way. So I'm thinking of putting it like this to probably keep these 2x6s from bending up, but I don't think it'll be that much force. I may have to eat my words later, but we're going to go ahead and secure this. I cut the boards a little long, you know, 12 foot, and then this is with the thickness of this 2x6, this is probably 5.5 feet, because I'm going to put these PVC, I think they're just 1-inch PVC, I'm going to drill a hole in it, and that's what the board is going to bend around, so it doesn't like kink the board that you bend. It's a nice smooth rod that it's going to be bent around. So, and then I'll just drill a hole in this frame and insert this PVC. So let's get this screwed in. I'm going to do the middle piece here, and then make a point in the top of the arch for where this peg is going to go, drill it, put it in, and then do the same on the end. And so I'll have like, you know, the two end pieces, and then I have this thin board that I'm going to like bend around to be sure I have it all right, and then we'll get some more pieces put in. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started and stop talking, and that way you can kind of understand what I'm doing. So, so let's get going. Okay, I'm going to get you zoomed in a little bit from what I just did. I was able to screw in this center piece, put the PVC in the top, and I put the PVC here on the end. Again, this is just a 1-inch PVC, or I think it's a 1/2-inch PVC actually, and I drilled a 7/8 hole into the wood, and then the PVC fits in there fairly snug. It's, you know, a little bit of wiggle room. And then I had this strip of just Luan, I think it was, and had to kind of clamp a few together, but I was able to make it an 8-foot piece and then bent it around. You know, it bends nice and easy, and I was able to meet up with the top. So an 8-foot stick of this 1x4 that I have should be able to meet in the center there. So I think that 4 foot 9 inches worked out pretty well. So it's a little bit less, you know, it's not quite a circle. It's kind of like a little bit of a football shape a bit, but that's the, you know, half of the arch right there. I just added these pieces, you know, they're kind of loose, the leftover 2x6s, and I want to space these out. I was trying to find the distance, you know, up this board to where to put the PVC, and I think just the best way is to use this bent piece of scrap wood here and get the arch looking like I want it, and then that way I can just screw in, or, you know, drill in for the PVC pegs that way, instead of, you know, trying to figure that out by math. So let's really, the only thing left is to screw this in, these two support pieces here and here, and then that's half of it. And then, of course, like always, I've run out of wood for the other side, so I'm gonna go tomorrow and get some more wood. All right, so it's been about an hour with the wood in the steam box, and now it's time to bend it on the frame. I've got some help here, and so David, what we're gonna do first, we're gonna put it down. I think we're gonna start at the middle here. So I'm gonna take it out of here. It's gonna be real fast. Here, come around over here. So it's gonna be real fast, and we're gonna put it here, and I'll clamp to this one, and you're just gonna keep pushing it from the end, like bending it around, and it's gonna be like on the ground. So you're gonna keep pushing it, and then I'll clamp it here, and we'll keep working our way around. Okay? It's going to be really hot, so, all right, so we're going to go ahead and open it up. Let me try it out. Let's grab this one. See how it's kind of hot? Jonah, can you put that flap down? We have to be kind of quick. Put it down on the ground.
Last one, toasty.
Yeah, keep pushing it around. Go kind of slow, like nice and easy. Oh, it broke. All right, we broke this one. Can you put that? Here, hold on a second.
Get another board.
Hold on, just a minute. I had a feeling this would happen. So we had a knot in the wood right here, and it cracked. All right. All right, so here we go with the arch pretty much done. I got all the clamps removed. You saw me putting those screws in the top and bottom, so that's what I'm gonna do to help secure all these boards together. I glued them with this waterproof glue, but you can see maybe the camera kind of makes it a little bit more uh, worse than it looks, but it's kind of a janky looking arch. You can kind of see this side is smooth somewhat, and then this side over here kind of sticks out. It's got a little bit of a, bulge out on the side there. So what ended up happening was this this piece right here, the peg on this whole board was pushed to the right as I was bending the wood, and didn't realize that after I had a few boards on that. So I ended up adding the support board in there to keep it. So this arch is kind of like pushed in a little bit, and so that makes this one look like it's bulged out a little bit. And I think that one is a little bit further out than I would like. So so this is it here. It's it's nice that this is my first arch, our first kind of steam bending, and it's going to be outside, and it's going to have a bunch of vines growing over it. So it's eventually going to be hidden. So what I'm going to do is cut this off right here in a nice level, so it's going to sit on the post, and give you kind of a close-up here. It had some splits here. You can see like that giant split. I'm going to sand that down and put some wood filler in it. Maybe you won't see it so bad. Some of the joints don't look the best. Learned a lot here about clamping it and securing this before you start making the bend. So this, again, I'll just kind of sand some of this down and probably put a little bit of filler in there. But again, not really going to see it once you get all the vines growing on it. This looks pretty good, pretty good. And then this last bit where it has this bulge, I ended up cutting maybe about an 1/8 inch into the wood, about every inch. And to make that turn, I was splitting a bunch of wood, making this curve. And so I ended up making these slits in it, and so I didn't really like that, but that's kind of what needed to get done to make that curve. It just wouldn't do it. Again, may fill that with wood filler, maybe off camera, so that's kind of boring. But again, and I'll cut this end off level. But basically, all the clamps are undone. It's just kind of sitting here. I have these 2 straps along the bottom to kind of hold the arch bottom in place. All right, so let's go over some lessons learned on this this project here. Again, I'll do these projects as kind of a prototype. I haven't done any of this before, and so I'm hoping you guys would watch this, and when you do your project, your kind of steam bending project, you kind of are already on the next step, kind of like your second project, because you've watched me do this. And so some of the things, I want to impart some of the knowledge I got by doing this one. So let's go through a few. I took some notes here. So when you build this and you're going through how many clamps do I need, what I think I got enough, maybe it's like 10 or so, whatever. Whatever clamps you think you have, go ahead and increase it by 50%, double it, whatever, because you're gonna need more clamps. You think you have enough, it's not enough. Other thing is the type of clamps. It was really nice when I was working and I was getting could use those kind of quick clamps, that kind of you just grab real quick, and you can just use one hand and it closes up real nice. You can't get really a lot of leverage on that, but it kind of is able to have another hand real quick so you can close it. But those just your traditional C clamps with the kind of the screw method. I also got one of these as kind of a little bit of both, and those are kind of nice. They're able to really crank down and put a lot more force on it than you could just by hand using those like kind of quick clamps. So it's good to have a combination of both. So go ahead and get both kinds. The form that I made, I had bent a little bit of wood before. It was really thin, and it wasn't a big project. But this one, I was just kind of extrapolating it with this, and made this form with these pins, that was PVC pins that go around. And what I learned is that I needed more pins. I needed more of a form to attach it to, especially that first board, because what was going on is these boards, they're not bending a nice curve. They're not really uniform. These boards had knots in it, and just knots in the wood are just not what you need. So don't get knots in your wood, because that kind of makes this discontinuity there when it bends too sharp at the knot or not enough, and a lot of times it splits at the knot. And then around those pegs, it kind of would bend, sharper around the pegs and not. So my plan, if I do this again, would be to, build the frame like I did, but add more pegs and probably get like 2 layers of 1/2 inch plywood to go ahead and make an arch with that, glue them together, secure it to the pegs, and then and that's your frame. Is just a continuous arch, so that way the wood you can clamp where you need it to no matter what, and you're not just only at the peg location. So that was something that I thought was pretty good, that I learned. So another thing is the steam box. This is about a 1x4s, and I steamed them for about an hour, a little less each time, each board. I think I should have done a little bit more. At the last few, I did about an hour and 20 minutes or so, and that seemed really good. It may be different on your steam box, but that little wallpaper steamer, it lasts about an hour and a half or so, maybe a little more than that. So that's all you have to work with until you want to like stop it, refill it, and start again. So the last thing that I would say is that steam box is enormous, and so that wallpaper steamer, it just barely gets it hot enough. When I have it outside and it gets cold, like in the evenings when I'm working on this, I have to put a blanket over it, so it's just like holds that steam in, just kind of insulates that box more and just keeps that heat in there. And really didn't figure that out till again, the last 1 or 2 boards. So that was another thing. Is just I don't think that steamer I had is enough to really get that big chamber hot enough. So anyway, so that's kind of the basics. Need way more clamps than you think, and you really got to make that frame that you're clamping to a really continuous frame. So hope that helps you out with yours, with your project, little tips that you can use. So now you're going to see me next is going to be tomorrow, where we're going to be mounting this thing onto the posts and then be basically done. There's a few obviously finishing touches. We're going to make it look a little nicer, but tomorrow we're going to get it mounted and then we'll be done. All right, so it's all together. You just kind of pick it up and place it on top.
It's not quite.
Yeah, that one's kind of. Looking a little bit. Okay. All right, you get hold it a little bit. I'm going to reach down for this drill.
Okay, now the problem is I don't know where you want this on the edge, the inside edge or outside edge.
Just keep it right there for now. We'll make some adjustments in a minute. Battery doesn't run out. It was going down yesterday. Yeah, that should be fine. Just like that.
This is sort of an angle there.
That's fine.
Yeah.
From the back, because it'll want to, when I take the straps off, it'll want to open up a little bit.